Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome in. I think there's a way to fix this. Uh, Not exactly sure how to do. Yeah. I don't know why we're both. Can you see me?
I can see you,
All
and then
right.
when I talk, I go on.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a little. I think there's a way. There you go. All right, I fixed it. We're equal now.
All
Okay.
right.
So, what's up, everybody? I'm back for another edition of Unnecessary Wagers. How you doing today?
Yeah. So we had a we had a very good week. Um, both of us picks. Obviously, you weren't here last week, but I gave out your picks. So yesterday, yesterday I was 4-3. You still have a pick left today. You have the Packers.
Yep.
Uh, Overall, I was up 10 units. That puts me up 106 units all time because I was undefeated in college. I was seven. No, what would it have been 6-0 in college, and then I was 4-3 last week in NFL. That was the second. I was undefeated in NFL last week and undefeated in college this week. You were, excuse me, you had one loss in sorry, you had one loss in college this week. You were 3-3 yesterday with a game still pending today. So that puts you up 69 units as a whole. Um, yeah,
And you're up
so
how many units again?
106.
Oh, okay. You're
I'm
beating
up.
me by a
So
lot.
you're up. Let me just get the full numbers. You're up one. Why did I get that wrong? You're up 47 units in college and up 21 in NFL, and I'm up 64 in college and 42 in NFL. So both of us are pretty significantly better at have been significantly better at our college picks than NFL. Um, but it was a hectic week of college football. Um, there was almost a gigantic shakeup with Indiana almost losing to Penn State, getting very lucky. One of the great plays of the year, to be honest, with the Mendoza throw and the catch to win the game. So that was almost one of the biggest shakeups we've had all year because that might have positioned Indiana in a really bad place, considering Penn State standing this year. We had obviously Texas A&M running through Missouri, Georgia running through Mississippi State, Texas Tech running through BYU, which I won both sides of. I was on the first half, and I was on the total game spread for Texas Tech there. We had the Oregon game, which was terrific as well. Late drama there. Uh, Iowa coming down to score, missing the 2-pointer. Oregon scoring. So it was a hectic week of college and a pretty decent week of NFL too. What were your thoughts overall of the week?
Oh, it was obviously a pretty wild week. I was a little disappointed in the NFL slate a little bit in the 4 o'clock window. I don't know. I think this was. I think every week. I think in the NFL, this week was a great example of why the NFL makes no sense. Like the Dolphins, it feels like they're totally dead in the water, and then they end up pulling off a win against the Bills. Uh, it really just makes no sense. In terms of college, it was obviously a pretty wild week. I mean, we didn't get a chance to react to. Now, the way I'm responding to college is I'm responding to the last 2 weeks because I haven't really had a chance to respond to it. So Miami lost to SMU. I am never trusting a Mario Cristobal Miami team ever again. They always just end up letting you down. I mean,
Mhm.
and this is a perfect example. Like I thought everybody was like, "Oh, this is the year Miami's going to be so good. They're one of the best teams in the country." Then they lose to Louisville and SMU. It's not even like they play a tough schedule and then they end up losing these games. They play easy schedules, and that still happens. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, they have to win out. Essentially, it's going to be hard for them to get into the ACC championship right now. If you look at the standings, although Virginia did lose, they lost their quarterback at close to halftime, and then they were up 7-0. They ended up getting outscored 16-2 after that. They lost to Wake Forest at home, so that was a major shakeup. But it is going to be tough, even so, for Miami to get to the ACC championship game. I mean, they dominated. I've been on Miami all year. I still think they're going to make the playoffs.
I think they probably will, actually. I think they'll probably make the playoffs because I don't have much faith in they still have a chance to win. They still have a chance to go to the ACC championship game. Am I wrong about that?
Well, right now they are 3-2 in the conference, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're sixth right now. So they're behind conference standings. They're behind Louisville, Duke, SMU, Pitt, Virginia, and Georgia Tech.
Yeah, that's going to be
so
tough.
They'd have to leapfrog a lot of people.
Well, here's the thing. I think
now they played one less conference game than most, but Duke. But
so
still.
far, but they played one less conference game. I think Virginia actually plays their game against their loss to NC State didn't count for the ACC standings because it was technically a non-conference game. Virginia, though, I mean, Virginia's not a good team. It wouldn't shock. They'll probably beat Virginia Tech because they're really bad, but they'll probably they could both very likely end up with 2 losses at the end of the season. But even if Miami ends up beating Pitt, and Miami ends up ahead of Pitt, well, SMU has to lose out. And, they're playing Louisville and then Cal, but Louisville also has to.
Yeah, so that's the problem because Louisville one of those teams has to win. One of SMU or Louisville has to win, which would be, they would both be ahead of Miami. Duke would have to lose basically 2 out of 3. Georgia Tech might have to, Virginia would probably have to lose 1. So there would be a lot of they would play Pitt, which could put them ahead of Pitt. But too much would have to happen.
But it is possible though. Like if you look at the wait, let me just pull up the rankings. By the way, can I do the Novig ad read? I don't think I did it.
Go ahead.
All right. So I just had to interrupt. Moving, whatever show it is. Unnecessary Wagers is powered by Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market, available right now in 35 states, including California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and New York. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win long-term compared to a traditional sportsbook because you're playing against real users, not the house. Sign up today and use promo code ETB Network for exclusive bonuses. All
right. So, yeah, a lot would have to happen there. Anyway, let's get into the NFL. Yesterday, like you said, it was a disappointing slate, especially in the
Wait! Just one more thing. Can I just do the Kick and Twitch ad read for a minute? What's up, sports fans? We've got some amazing news that makes catching your favorite shows easier than ever. If you're hooked on the dynamic content and great analysis from Playback TV, you can now find us in even more places. That's right. Playback TV programming is now expanding its live reach to the Empty the Bench Network's Kick and Twitch channels. Playback TV is still your home for premier sports content, but now we're broadcasting live on these new platforms to bring the conversation directly to you. We want you to stop missing out on the instant analysis and real-time interaction that only a live show can deliver. Whether it's game day reactions or deep dive interviews, we're broadcasting on Kick and Twitch so you can chat with the host and community live. To catch the expanded live schedule, just search for ETB Network on both Kick and Twitch. That's ETB Network. Follow us today and never miss a live minute of the great content you expect from Playback TV. All right. All right. We're good.
Anyway, so it was, like you said, it wasn't a great slate, especially in the 4:00 hour. There wasn't a game that was very close. There weren't many games that were close.
The Niners made it somewhat interesting towards the end, but then the Rams really broke away.
Yeah, and the Niners making it somewhat interesting. They got it to 8 points with like 12 minutes left, but then the Rams scored 2 minutes later. Um, it was uneventful. There were only a couple of games uh, that were really interesting. I will say you were on the wrong side of this. I'll be surprised if Van Pelt doesn't do it. Jaguars, whether it was plus 1.5, all time bad beat, just an all time bad beat. The Jaguars were up 19, right? Yeah, 19
Yeah.
going into the fourth quarter. They gave up the lead, but even so, the Texans missed the 2-point conversion that would have made it a 3-point game, so it stayed at 1. So even with the Jaguars blowing a huge lead, you still covered, except that Trevor Lawrence fumbled the ball on the very last play of the game, and the Texans ran it in for a touchdown. That was
That's as bad of a beat as
possibly
it
the
gets.
worst beat of the NFL season. That's
Well,
really
do you
bad.
think it's worse than the Rams Eagles beat?
Yeah, because getting points going into the fourth quarter up 19 and then losing. Yes, yeah, that's worse.
Okay, that's fair.
That's worse. And also the blocked punt is one thing. Like the blocked field goal has happened before. The fact that he fumbled it and then they ran it in for a touchdown was just inexplicable. And the other thing is you are betting against the Super Bowl champions. In this one, you're betting against the Texans.
True. No,
And
that's also true.
The Patriots Bucks was a close-ish game. The Bucks had a chance to score at the end. The Patriots almost made like the stupidest move ever at the end of the first half, where they were trying to run out the clock and then almost didn't score. They had first and goal with a minute left, and they basically punted on 2 plays, and then they had 2 seconds left. The Jets winning a game. A lot of it due to the kicking game and the Browns' just complete incompetence on the defensive end at the end of the game. That sealed the win for the Jets. The Giants with another blown game so bad that it cost their coach the job. First of all, also the Giants. I saw this stat today. The Giants had a 92.3% chance to win in the fourth quarter of the game against the Cowboys. They had a 99.6% chance to win in the fourth quarter of the Broncos game, and they had a 96.3% chance to win in the fourth quarter of the Bears game. And the odds that they would lose all of those 3 games with those chances were 1 in 60,000.
Wow.
And so that has cost the coach his job. Also possibly kicking a field goal on the last in the last quarter.
I'm actually legitimately surprised. I was surprised to find out that the Giants fired Dable because, like, I thought at the very least they would wait till the end of the season. I actually called into Sal Licata and said at the end of the season they're not going to fire Brian Dable because the Giants are so just. The Giants tend to be so loyal to their head coaches and GMs. I was surprised they ended up.
That's not really, but that's not really true though. They had Joe Judge, Pat Shurmur, Ben McAdoo all did 2 years, and then Dable's done 3 years now.
But those coaches were so bad.
But so was Dable. Dable was 11-33 in his last 44 games. He was, I think, 12 and he was 12-44-1 or something like that after they took a 7-2 start in his first season. And the way they lost the games were so bad.
Yeah.
The way the defense didn't perform at the end of the game. I mean, I think it's crazy that they fired Bowen, that they haven't fired Bowen and they fired Dable. I think it's crazy that if they kept Joe Schoen, if you look at Joe Schoen, but okay, like Jackson Dart has been playing decent, but how much of that credit goes to the coaching? How much of it goes to them picking him? Neighbors fell into his lap, but you look at like Evan Neal was a gigantic whiff.
Terrible pick.
Abdul Carter, I think, will be a good player, but he's had a horrible year. you look at a lot of his draft picks. I mean, how much of this team being terrible is on him as well?
Well,
And
in
I will,
fairness, I'll defend him. He's not a bad drafter. He's not
right,
a terrible drafter, but it's also because the Giants are so bad consistently. Like they get these easy, like they get these picks that fall into their lap.
correct,
So
correct. But then he essentially handed the Philadelphia Eagles a Super Bowl.
I don't blame him for that. But
Well,
well,
but
you agreed with not re-signing.
yeah, I agreed with it, but I didn't agree with him going with them showing it on television and everything. But yeah, so that I understand that. The Giants now, for all of the talk during this year about how good Scadaboo has been, how good Dart has been, how good the Giants are on upswing, and the Jets might go 0-17. The Jets are now ahead of the Giants, and they also have a road win, which the Giants not. The Giants have lost 11 consecutive games on the road. Yeah, I mean, so uneventful week. The Bills laid an egg, which was, I mean, that was probably the icing. If the Patriots had lost, it would have been a real icing on the cake. But if you're a Jet fan, the Jets won, the Bills lost, the Dolphins fucked up their draft pick. The Patriots losing would have been perfect, but that was a good weekend, especially with the week at what had happened. It was a good week for the Jets, finally.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we'll get more into those games as we get into our picks as well. So let's get into our picks. My one unit play in college, I'm going to go with Cincinnati and Arizona first half over 27.5, semi-low first half over for the Big 12. Arizona coming off of a win against Kansas, where that was a bit of a shootout on Saturday. Big home win for them. You have Cincinnati at home, so it's going to be an early game, which does throw me off a little bit about Arizona, but Cincinnati is coming off a bye. Arizona normally can score a lot of points. Their defense hasn't been terrific over the last few games, and you see a number like that in the Big 12. Yes, I know it's an early game, but I'm going to take the first half over 27.5.
All right, so my one unit pick, I am unlike last week. I do not have an all SEC slate. I have a lot of non SEC games. I have a lot of non SEC games that I'm picking. All right, so my my one unit pick is Notre Dame minus 10.5 at Pitt. I'm going with Notre Dame to just roll over the rest of their schedule, which so far they have. I mean, their closest game so far has been at 10 points against USC. I think USC is a much better team than Pitt. I think Notre Dame rolls over Pitt by 2 touchdowns or more.
Yeah, this is a big game. It's again, this will be the toughest test that Notre Dame face for the rest of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of their schedule, at least in the regular season. So, yeah, I do like that pick. I mean, I think Pitt's win is going to come against Miami in the last week of the season. Their big win. So yeah, I would.
Yeah, I think they're going to beat Miami too. Miami always loses that game.
Yeah, and the cold doesn't affect Notre Dame, but it affects Miami, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, my 2-unit play, I'm going with Iowa team total under 20.5 versus USC.
I like that one.
Iowa is just constantly cannot score. There was driving rain on Saturday, so I can't fault them too much for that. But it was like pulling teeth to get them to score. Even the last possession of the game where they scored a touchdown but missed the 2-point conversion, it took them all the way till 4th down. And they ran some pretty horrible plays. The only time they've really gotten over this number is against bad teams. So they got over the number against Rutgers, which is a bad team. They got barely over the number against Penn State, and they got way over the number against Minnesota. All are terrible teams. USC is a much better team. It's at USC. USC is a dark horse for the playoff.
They really are. They really are a dark horse.
If you look at their schedule, if they win the next 2 games ahead of them, they will make the playoff almost certainly, because they will have beaten Iowa and Oregon, and they are still within striking distance of making the Big Ten championship, albeit they would need Indiana or Ohio State to lose, which looks very unlikely. But they are in a good position. They have to win this game. Iowa is a good team, but they're not up to the heavyweight challenge yet. I've got them under 20.5 team total.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. USC is a weird. The issue I have with USC is that they've struggled a lot on the road, and not just with like the time change thing. Like they couldn't beat Illinois. They had to make a comeback to beat Nebraska. These are not really impressive teams, so I don't really have a ton of faith in them beating Oregon. But you never know. Oregon could have very easily lost to Iowa. We don't really know how good they are exactly. So for and by the way, I would like to see USC make the playoffs. I just would like the story of USC, like Lincoln Riley turning around the program after everybody was just doubting him for the past 3 years.
Well, except for one person, but yeah.
Except for one person, who?
Colin Cowherd, who said that.
Colin Cowherd. Yeah, I was very much in line with Colin Cowherd on the Lincoln Riley take. Very much in line with him on that. And I also had a lot of faith in Kalen DeBoer. I've been vindicated. I've actually been right about all of the head coaching hires so far, it seems like. So my 2-unit pick is, I love this right here. Northwestern plus 11.5 versus Michigan. The thing with Michigan is that they're not a great road team, and they don't really cover very much on the road. Wait, let me just pull up Michigan. All right, Michigan on the road so far this year.
Michigan State.
They played so they played Nebraska. They played Oklahoma. They got killed. Nebraska. They certainly didn't. They didn't cover that, or maybe they did cover. It was like but they barely beat them. It was a 2.5 point spread. They got killed by USC. They beat Michigan State, and they kind of let Michigan State back into that game. They didn't cover. So Michigan on the road, I know they're 2-2, and they've been pretty unimpressive as a road team.
Even this was at home, but they just barely beat Purdue even last week.
Right. So I think that Michigan is a type of team right now where they're not there yet. They play down to their competition a lot. And Northwestern can kind of hold their own. They're not great. They're like a middle of the road Big Ten team, and Michigan's like an above average Big Ten team. So I actually think 11.5 points is just too much. And by the way, the line in this game has fluctuated a lot. Last night it was 9.5. Now it's 11.5. It's probably going to settle around 10.5, I would say. But I don't think Michigan covers this number. The spread is just too big.
Yeah, I agree. Michigan has been sort of unimpressive in a lot of their games, but they do. I mean, I think again, this was going to be a first year with this quarterback. Always, it wasn't always going to be something spectacular. But I mean, they have done well. But yeah, I agree with you. I'm just worried that Northwestern's kind of fallen off the face of the earth now with their last 2 losses. They gotten themselves ranked and looked good, but
they also just played like 2 road games in a row, and so I think that has a lot to do with it too. Sometimes that's the best time to bet on those teams, though, when you kind of start doubting them.
Yeah, no question. When the public is getting slow on them, it's definitely a good time to get the value on those teams. All right. 3-point play. This is the first time I've done this on this show with a point play, but I'm going to introduce it. Texas plus 9.5 versus Georgia. LSU minus 7.5 versus Arkansas. Teaser parlay for plus 355.
Wait, so your 3-unit pick is a parlay?
Yeah, it's a teaser.
Okay.
Is that fine?
Yeah, I don't care. That's fine.
Okay.
So what are the odds? I was just thinking, like, wouldn't the odds
plus
not be good?
355.
It's what?
Plus 355.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be the same units, it'll just be at different odds.
Okay.
I'm taking points. I'm getting points in, or I'm buying points in Texas, who I think are 6.5 versus Georgia. I actually like the 6.5, but I wanted to tease it a little bit because I'm not sure about the full game. I liked Texas first half. I'm a little nervous about that game, but I do think that Texas actually has a chance to go out and possibly win the game outright. I'm a little nervous about them sort of staying close and then Georgia pulling away at the end. I think Georgia just beat the hell out of Mississippi State, and Texas is coming off a bye, so I think that I think Texas will be more up for the game, but I'm still going to buy some points there at 9.5, and then LSU, I think, are their real value is like minus 4.5. I'm going to take them getting over a touchdown there. I think they're going to kill Arkansas. Arkansas is terrible. LSU are not great, but they aren't atrocious. They're at home against Arkansas. I think they win that easily. So I'm going to take both those teams and tease them, especially with that Texas one.
No, I very, very much agree with that. Arkansas is hardly going to score. I mean, LSU's defense was pretty good.
And LSU, I mean, they're not great, but their conference schedule was Florida, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, Alabama. I mean, that's a gauntlet.
Yeah. Well, all the SEC teams play a gauntlet of a schedule, it seems like. At least the vast majority of them.
Right, but I'm saying if you're looking at it like, well, LSU's only 5-4, which is possibly why they are only 4.5 point favorites at home to Arkansas. But LSU is a better 5-4 team than most teams are. They've lost 3 in a row, which again, they've lost 3 in a row, which again makes me like them even more in this spot. And the 3 losses that they have are to Vanderbilt on the road, who was ranked number 17 at the time, Texas A&M at home, who was ranked number 3, and Alabama on the road, who was ranked number 4, which, by the way, Alabama only scored 3 points in the second half.
Yeah.
So they're not, LSU are not terrible.
No, you're right about that. And no, I totally agree. And all right, so what are we at? 3-unit? All right, so my 3-unit pick, I'm heading over to the Big Ten. I am taking Iowa plus 6.5 versus USC. I think USC wins this game outright, but I think they win the game outright similar to the way Indiana and Oregon beat Iowa. Iowa is like, and I've said this, Iowa is a good enough team to be a spoiler, but they're not a good enough team to actually like make the playoffs. Iowa, they play top teams very well. They came very close to beating Indiana. They came very close to beating Oregon. And I think it's going to be a similar thing against USC. Only thing is they're going on the road, but I think the difference, I think that a team like USC going to Iowa would affect them a lot more than Iowa going to USC, because Iowa is moving back in time zone and they're moving to warmer weather, which is easier to adjust to than the other way around. So I don't think the fact that they're playing at USC is going to affect them that much compared to USC. I think they cover this number, and I think that it's like a 3-4. It's going to be like a weird, funky number, just like against Oregon. One team wins like 18-16, something like that, 20-16. Like, so I could see some weird number like that. I don't think USC covers this number.
Yeah, I disagree with that pick, but it's funny how different teams are perceived, even in the same conference, because of expectations. So this stat came up. During the game on Saturday's game against Oregon. it just shows you when there was a lot of talk about James Franklin, his expectations at Penn State now, albeit he has a much longer, he has a much better recruiting. But Kirk Ferentz has lost 11 straight games versus ranked teams at Iowa. He entered the season, I believe, on a whole 12-28 versus top 10 teams.
Yep.
And he's been at Iowa since 1999, which is 26 years. Yeah. None of his players were born then. But it just shows you a lot of the difference in the expectations, because Iowa, even though they have a good fan base, they like their program, but they have nowhere near the expectations that Penn State does. So that record just doesn't get exemplified like it does at Penn State.
That is a great point, though. It's like, I think James Franklin, look, it's not wrong to say that James Franklin can't beat the ranked teams or the top 10 teams, but let's just be honest about this. If James Franklin was a worse head coach and made it to less big games, he would be hated on less. Well,
yeah.
Like, that just is obvious to me. And it is amazing to me how some programs, like, they have such high expectations for their head coaches, and others are just satisfied with eternal mediocrity. That is always amazing to me. Like, look at LSU. They fired Ed Orgeron less than 2 years after he won a national championship. And actually, I think a great example of this might actually be Brian Kelly. Look at Brian Kelly at Notre Dame versus at LSU and the difference in how he was perceived. He was at Notre Dame for, I think, 13 seasons or 12 seasons. And he was good, not great. And people didn't really think twice about it. And then he goes to LSU and he gets scrutinized immediately and gets fired after 4 seasons. His tenure at LSU was not all that much different than his tenure at Notre Dame. He was good, not great at Notre Dame. He was good, not great at LSU. And he was crucified at LSU way more than he was at Notre Dame. And I feel like the Iowa of the SEC would be like Kentucky. Kentucky's probably a good example. Like, if Mark Stoops wins 7 games, he's good. But if you win 7 games at LSU, good luck. You're not keeping your job.
Right. Yeah. I think you made a good point. I think it was on Forever Power 5 where you said that a lot of people were gonna, or historically, we're gonna look at it as if James Franklin was like Rich Rod at Michigan or something. Yeah. He was good. It just, the problem was he wasn't up to the expectation.
He was never a Harbaugh, an Urban, a Saban, a Dabo, or Kirby, nothing like that. But he was good. He was good.
All right. So my 4-point pick, I'm gonna go Texas A&M, South Carolina, first half over 27.5.
I like
Texas
that one.
A&M have a high-powered offense. South Carolina are in the conversation, if not at the top of the conversation, for most disappointing team of the entire season. Mm-hmm. If you go from preseason to where they were expected at preseason, they are 3-6, which means they'd have to get a massive upset against Texas A&M here and beat their rivals Clemson. And beat Coastal Carolina as well, just to get to a bowl. They were ranked 10th, I believe, at one point this season. Yeah, 10th at one point this season. Unbelievable, disappointing year for South Carolina, but I still think they can put up some points in this first half. Texas A&M can as well. Texas A&M normally play the first couple of quarters a little bit close and then pull it away. So I like the first half over there.
All right. So my 4-unit pick, I'm headed back to the SEC. Love Alabama minus 6.5 versus Oklahoma. The thing with Alabama is I really love Alabama when they're at home. They have one of the best offenses, one of the best quarterbacks in college football, but they're not overly reliant on Ty Simpson. Whereas I think in Oklahoma, I think it's very John Mateer reliant, and John Mateer post hand surgery has just not quite been the same quarterback. I give him a lot of credit for going on the road and beating Tennessee, but I think Tennessee just was never that great of a team. I love Alabama here. I think they cover the 6.5. And if the thing with Oklahoma is that if John Mateer is kind of not having a great game, they don't have much of a chance. That's the problem that they have. So I love Alabama here.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. I'm heavy on Alabama too.
Was this one of your
No, I did not take that game. All right, but I do like Alabama. All right, my 5 point pick. I am going to take Boston College, who have lost 9 games in a row, plus 16.5 against Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is a team that is seriously overranked. They're ranked number 17, and a lot of and are going to have a really good chance to make the playoff because they're almost certainly going to be in the ACC championship game. So they will be one off. There's Georgia Tech are a team that if they make the ACC championship game, which if they win this game, they're almost a shoe in because their last game is not against a conference team. Their last game is against Georgia.
Yep.
They will be a case, in my opinion, for getting rid of automatic bids. Georgia Tech are not that great. They have played a seriously easy schedule. The hardest game they played this year, well, Clemson, but Clemson have fallen off. They lost 2 weeks ago to NC State. Boston College are terrible. You could make an argument that Boston College as a whole, just as a team and as a college, are the most irrelevant power conference college in the entire country.
Would you say that in both sports?
Well, for sports, yes. The ACC, they're bottom of basketball, they're bottom of football. Academically, they're not even a top 5 school in their own city.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah,
Apologies to Boston
that's
College.
a really good point because at least like schools that are irrelevant in sports at least are good academically. They don't even really have that.
The only thing I think of when I think of Boston College is when I don't know if you remember, it was an all-time moment when they went like 1-20 in the conference, and they asked after the ACC championship game, they asked a senior what he was going to miss most about college basketball, and his answer was the team dinners.
I don't remember that. When I think Boston College, I think of the point shaving scandal.
Yes, true. Or Matt Ryan, maybe. But
Yeah, maybe Matt Ryan.
but yeah, you could make the argument they are seriously irrelevant. It's like if you ask someone to name the teams in the ACC, even now, probably the one team most people would forget is Boston College.
Yeah, or maybe yeah. No, that's a good point. Boston. Who else would I think of with Boston College? I think Thomas Castellanos played there a few years ago before transferring.
Yes. But yeah, so either way, I just don't think Georgia Tech is that great of a team. I don't think that they're in that conversation. I mean, listen, Boston College lost by 15 to Notre Dame. They kept within 16 and a half. They lost by 14 to Louisville. They kept that within 16 and a half. So by no means saying that Boston College are winning this game. They're not, but I think they can keep it within 16 and a half against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, and also I fully agree with the whole automatic bid thing. I hate automatic bids. It takes away the art of evaluating teams. I just don't think rankings should have qualifiers like that. Well, like if one team's resume is so much better than the other, but they won their conference, the other team didn't. They don't even play in the same conference. I think that's just stupid. I don't think there should be automatic bids. But the conference, it's very much like there's a lot of politics involved because the conferences, like they want to keep all the conferences happy.
Well, I like what they did at least now, where the conference winner doesn't get an automatic bye.
Right. I think that was good. And honestly, I think last year's playoff, we kind of needed it to happen to get people to like realize how bad of an idea it is to have the automatic seating. And also, I not only do I not like automatic bids, I also don't like the whole automatic at-large team that's not a Power 4 team that gets in. I mean, most of the time, there's just not a team that's good enough.
Yeah.
Like Boise State last year or whatever. Like,
No.
I don't know. All right. So what are we at? 4-unit? 5-unit. All right. I love this right here. Iowa USC under 49 and a half. Same game. I just think that both teams, first of all, Iowa, I mean, I'd be stunned if they score more than 20 points. And like I said before, I think USC is going to struggle to get ahead of Iowa, not because of USC, but because Iowa is just a really tough team to break away from. So I like the under here. I'm going with a classic Iowa Big Ten slugfest here. I don't think Iowa scores more than 20 points.
Yeah, agreed. Obviously, that. Yeah, classic historical Big Ten matchup on Saturday. Okay, um, let's go to the league where they play for pay. My one unit play going out to um, Madrid, Spain. The European Union should file war crime petitions against the United States for the fact that this game is being played in Madrid, but it is. Commanders, Dolphins. I am taking the Commanders plus 2.5. The Commanders have to win something at some point. They are, I believe, one of the first teams, or the first team, or one to lose 4 consecutive games by 20 plus points. They have just looked terrible, but they are due for something. They're in the fairness in the games they did lose to teams by that margin. They played some of the best teams in the NFL. The Dolphins are a very back and forth team. They killed the Falcons, got killed by the Ravens, then killed the Bills. So I think they will come back down to earth. I don't trust Tua at all, but especially in an international setting. The Dolphins are lost. I don't think that yesterday really did anything in terms of keeping the quarterback and keeping the coach. So I'm going to take the Commanders plus 2.5.
All right. So I'm going with for my 1 unit pick, I am going with the Titans plus 7.5 versus the Texans. First of all, I don't have much faith in the Texans. I don't think they're that good. I think they're at best an average team. And I don't think that they cover this number. I think it's a little bit, I don't think they win by more than a touchdown, especially coming off a big win against the Jaguars. I really just don't have a lot of faith in Houston. And sometimes the thing with Tennessee is that sometimes they surprise you a little bit. Sometimes they end up playing up to their competition a little bit. And I really just don't have much faith in Houston.
I'm actually was kind of surprised that you came back okay from your trip to Austin, because you've picked against Texas and the Texans all year pretty much. You're almost going to be like public enemy number 1 in Texas.
No, yeah.
You do pick Cowboys overs though a lot, so maybe that's.
Well, I know. Well, here's the thing though. I took Texas against Vanderbilt. That was one of my top picks when I went before I went to Austin.
It's true.
Before I went to
all right, I am going to take my 2 unit play. The Falcons plus 3.5 against the Carolina Panthers. I think the Panthers, even though they beat the Packers, that was you had it money line. I had it spread in the picks last week. That was the most obvious spot for the Saints ever. Yeah. It was so obvious the Panthers. I didn't know if they were going to lose the game. It was so obvious they were going to lay an egg in that game, coming off of a big win like that. I just think the Panthers are really overplaying what their record is, and I think the Falcons are kind of underplaying. And I think the public is going to be just really low on the Falcons and not see. Well, the Panthers are still kind of that team that we thought they were at the start. Even though they beat the Packers, that was more so Jordan Love just playing terrible than it was the Panthers winning. So I'm going to take the Falcons plus 3.5.
Yeah. So my 2 unit pick, I am going with the Bengals Steelers over 49.5. Classic rivalry game. I think it's going to look very similar to the first game that happened. I think this game is also just going to be. I think Bengals and Cowboys overs you can rely on. The Bengals have the second worst defense in the NFL. I think this game goes way over.
Yeah, I agree. The only thing, I mean, I would take it just because the Bengals defense. The
They're
only
so
thing,
bad. They make everybody. The Bengals defense made Justin Fields look great.
but the only thing that is scary is how bad the Steelers offense has looked recently.
That's
Uh,
true. Although I think though every time that they've looked bad, they at least played against a good defense.
That is true. Yeah, that's why I would probably take it too, just because the Bengals defense.
Like
All right.
Brees Hall had I think 300-yard games, rushing games this year. One of them was against the Steelers, but two of them were against the Bengals and the Cowboys. I think it says more about the Bengals and the Cowboys than it does about Brees Hall.
Yeah, agreed. Speaking of Brees Hall, my 3-unit play, I am taking the Jets plus 11.5 at New England on Thursday Night Football. I think the public is going. I don't know. I don't think the Jets are going to win this game by any means, but I think the public is going to be just very hot on the Patriots right now. The Jets are on a bit of a hot streak. They beat the Bengals very late. They beat their most decisive game of the year was on Sunday, and very good win, albeit 2 kick returns. One of the most shocking. I don't know if you watched the full game, but one of the most shocking overheads of a stadium I've ever seen, with how empty the stadium was on Sunday. It was a good win for the Jets, although they got bailed out by insane incompetence on the last drive. In 3rd and 15, the Jets threw an incomplete pass, and the Browns got called for defensive holding. And then the most egregious one, the 4th and 3, where the Jets were in their own territory, up 7, bleeding the clock, went to snap. There was less than 0% chance the Jets were ever going to snap that ball. And the fact that the guy jumped off sides was so unbelievable to me. I mean, there was no chance the Jets were going to snap the ball. And just unbelievable. And Membu dancing in his face right after he jumped off sides too was classic. But I just think the Jets are going to – I don't know even if – I could see this also being a game where the Patriots just take a gigantic lead and then the Jets just come back and backdoor cover.
Yeah.
It's a complete 180 from last season when the Jets just destroyed the Patriots on Thursday Night Football. Now the Patriots are double-digit favorites. But yeah, I'm going to take the Jets to hang around here.
Yeah, first of all, I like that pick a lot. I'll get into it. I'll get into it a little later. But here's the thing with that pick. Here's 2 things with this game that are equalizers: short rest, and it's a rivalry game. The Jets show up to play the Patriots, and on short rest, what have we noticed this year? Thursday night games, there tends to be a lot of upsets on Thursday night games, just like with the Giants and the Eagles, just like with even if you want to say the Bengals and Steelers, a lot of time, I just think that Thursday night games, international games, they just tend to be equalizers a little bit on some level. On top of that, it's a rivalry game, and an 11.5-point spread is freaking huge. So I think
even when the Jets were 0-7, they were never getting blown out.
No, a lot of these, they came close to beating the Bucks.
Yeah.
A lot of these games, they came close to beating the Steelers. So a lot of these, it's not like the Jets haven't had any opportunities to win. And the truth about professional sports is that good teams and bad teams are much closer than you think they are.
Mm-hmm.
But they're far more equal than you think. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I don't always like these really big spreads. All right. So what are we at? 3-unit? My 3-unit pick is I am going with the Jaguars plus 2.5 against the Chargers. I'm going with the same theme I'm going with your theme, which is the Chargers traveling to the East Coast to play what is for them a 10 a.m. game, which the Chargers this year have not been good in. I think the Chargers have looked okay, but they're just I think they're a little shaky. I think Justin Herbert has looked great, but overall, I don't think the team has looked great. I think the Jaguars cover the 2.5. I could totally see them winning outright. Jacksonville has shown some flashes this year. They're inconsistent, but they've shown some flashes. I really like the spot here for the Jaguars.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. All right, my 4-point play. I'm going with the 49ers first half minus a half, which is essentially a pick 'em, uh, versus the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have hung around in some games previously, but Sunday was just a completely demoralizing loss for them. They were down 35-0 at one point in the game. They were completely outplayed, and I think they are a team that is just on that level where it's like once you get outplayed like that, the season just could spiral. The 49ers are fighting to make the playoffs. They got beaten badly by a rival on Sunday. They're going to be ready to go. I know they have so many injuries. It's really a shame how many injuries they've had the last 2 years, but I think they're going to be ready to go. It's going to be a pseudo home game. So many 49er fans in the building. I'm taking them at least first half to cover a pick 'em.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. I was strongly considering making that pick. So for my 4-unit pick, I'm doing the Jets plus 11.5 versus New England. Like I said before, 2 equalizers in this game: short rest, division rivals. Those 2 things are very much equalizers, and we've seen many upsets happen in Thursday. That's a theme that we've seen. Upsets on Thursday night between division rivals, just like with the Giants, Eagles, Bengals, Steelers. I could see a similar type of thing happening with the Patriots, Jets. I don't think that the Jets are going to win outright, but 11.5-point spread is a lot.
Yeah.
You're asking them to win. Like, I think the Patriots probably win, but I don't think they win by any more than 10 points. I think the Jets really can keep this close. I think just like, like I said, the short rest rivalry game. I think the Jets keep this pretty close.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly. All right, my 4-point play. Oh no, sorry, for my 5-point play. I'm going with the Steelers laying 5.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers have looked terrible the last couple of times we've seen them on prime time, especially last night. So they're playing a 1:00 game against the Bengals. I think the Steelers are just going to do the exact same thing every single year, which is get to 9-8 and get just destroyed in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They're 5-4 right now, which means they'll have to go 500 the rest of the way to do that. The Bengals seem like a team that's just going to fall off at this point. They had a couple of opportunities against the Jets and the Bears to make something of their season and get themselves in a position. They did not do it. I think they're going to fall off, especially in Pittsburgh, which is a tough place to play, especially for division rivals. And I just think the Steelers are going to win this one. They're going to find a way to do it. And yeah, I'm taking the Steelers minus 5.5.
Yeah, so you like the you like the Steelers to win the Unk Bowl.
Yeah.
All right. So my 5-unit pick, I am going with the Lions plus 1.5 versus the Eagles. I love the Lions here. I think the Lions, you can argue. You have an argument for the Lions being the best team in the NFL. I think the biggest problem with the Eagles is that they tend to be very streaky. People forget because they won the Super Bowl last year, but they sometimes, like 2 years ago, they ended up completely falling off towards the end of the season. I'm not saying I think that's going to happen again, but overall, I really think the Lions are just a slightly better team than the Eagles, and Vegas believes that too because the Eagles are only 1.5-point favorites at home. So I like the Lions here to win this, to edge this game out. I could potentially see it being kind of high scoring, but overall, I just don't. I don't think. I think the Eagles, and especially their offense, is just a little bit too streaky for me to trust them. I mean, there are times where, like, the Eagles are a little bit like the Georgia of the NFL. Like, every game is 2 games.
Well, because half their team is from Georgia. But yeah,
Yeah.
the Eagles, I agree, and these will be the 2 biggest test games of the season for the Eagles coming up: the Packers and the Lions. The Eagles have a tougher schedule toward the end. The one thing that the Eagles have in their pocket is they have 0 chance that they won't win the division, but that's mainly just because their division is terrible.
Yeah.
So they'll be in a position to win, but I agree. I don't know how much I'm putting them in. They're not in the same. I agree with you that I think they're more they more remind me of that team from 2 years ago than they do last year.
Yeah.
They're not
And
gonna
by the way, I think that with a team like the Eagles, you're going to get many more teams from 2 years ago than you are going to get the Super Bowl champions from last year.
Right. All right, let's go to the money line winners of the week. Excuse me. I'm gonna go against myself, my own team this week. I was looking at a bunch of money line winners. I wanted one that I thought was definitely possible, where I thought I could pull away from the units in the units contest. I'm going to take West Virginia going to Arizona State plus 430. It's a big number. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm fully confident that they will win, but to get that value, I think ASU is playing a backup quarterback. They lost to Houston at home with that quarterback. Essentially, they did win at Iowa State, where he played a good game, but overall, they've just not gotten great play out of their backups. West Virginia isn't the best team in the world, but I could definitely see it happening. So to get it at plus 430, I had to take it. So I'm going to take the Mountaineers plus 430.
All right. So my money line winner of the week, I am going with the Bears plus 150 against the Vikings. The Bears they've won 6 of their last 7, though it doesn't feel like it. You know, right? Like they've won 6 of the last 7. Doesn't feel like it, largely because they got smoked by the Tyler Huntley Ravens. But like, it really doesn't feel like it that they've won 6 of their last 7.
No.
But after collapsing against the collapsing in the first game they played against the Vikings, I like the Bears to want to get revenge. The Bears have gotten better. I think you can argue the Vikings have gotten a little worse. I love the Bears here to win this outright.
Yeah, the Bears have turned it on. They have also played like just a crazy easy schedule.
They have.
But yeah, I agree. And they've also reintroduced me. No offense to anybody on this channel because they're not in this conversation, but especially the people at Barstool, they've reintroduced me into how annoying Bears fans are, especially the people at Barstool. But they have played a very easy schedule. But I agree. I'm not heavy on the Vikings, and the Vikings just. I mean, they just don't look great.
I mean, they did beat the Commanders on the road, and this was with Jaden Daniels, so it really wasn't. You know, that I think it was a fairly good.
But
win.
just to clarify, by the way, those wins for the Bears in that streak have come against the Cowboys, Raiders, Commanders, Saints, Bengals, and Giants.
Yeah,
Bengals and Giants. They needed a last minute. Bengals, all 3 of them. They could have easily lost that Raider game. They could have easily lost that Commander game.
Yeah,
they could have easily lost that Bengal game, and they could have easily lost that Giant game.
Yeah.
So I think they are a little bit smoke and mirrors right now, but yeah, I'd agree with you on that. All right, it is time for the locks of the week. Let's start in college football. Nick already discussed this game. I'm going to take it on I don't know if I'm fully ready to commit to a whole number there, so I'm going to take Notre Dame first half, laying 6.5. The reason I'm not taking the full game like Nick is I just fear the back door here severely, especially the hook. It's a 10.5 hook. But I do feel like Notre Dame are going to come out here and seriously puts a beat down on Pitt. I think they are going to come out really strong. So I could see this one again. That's why I'm a little scared of a backdoor because I could see this one starting really well, but just maybe they don't finish it out exactly or whatever. So I'm going to go with them laying laying 6.5 in the first half. I mean, they've been really good. This is their one what you could say test, I guess, of the year on the road. It's their second hardest road game because they play Miami, but it's their last test of the year where they could possibly get tested, and I think they're going to pass it. I mean, I think Pitt is not a team that is playoff worthy, so it's not exactly like they're playing a powerhouse. So yeah, give me Notre Dame.
I like that pick a lot, and that might be better than my 10.5 point pick.
Well, yeah, the only thing that really just gives me pause with the 10.5 is the hook.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, are they going to be up 20 and then just give up, a touch, or not 20? Are they going to be up like 17 and give up a touchdown and you get stiff there? I mean, that's the only place where it does kill you. Like the garbage time would scare me more than anything else.
Yeah, no, that's a totally fair point. So my lock of the week, I am stunned that this spread is this big. It wait, let me just pull. So Florida is getting 16 and a half points against Ole Miss. I am stunned the spread is this big because, first of all, Florida is a dangerous team, especially when they're out of it. Florida is a dangerous team. They gave Georgia a run for their money last year. They beat Ole Miss in this exact same spot in this exact same week. Florida is a dangerous team, and Ole Miss just has a lot of trouble getting away from other teams. Like they don't blow anybody out. I mean, they barely even beat Washington State at home. They had trouble breaking away against Kentucky and against Arkansas. I mean, it's a common theme with Ole Miss. They don't break away from other teams very much, and those teams that they can't break away from are worse than Florida, without question. I think Florida gives Ole Miss a run for their money. I am stunned the spread is this much. It's more than a two possession. Ole Miss are more than two possession favorites against Florida.
Yeah. This is a game. So just, I mean, I'm sure you're the same way, but just for the viewers out there, not that, we just do this show in an hour, so we don't have like 5 hours to do the show. But like in reality, these are my 5 best picks. But I bet a lot more than that. I'll probably bet about 30 games. I will definitely be taking Florida on Saturday when I really bet stuff. When I go live bullets, I have to say too, I know you're probably going to think this part's crazy too. It's not going to be a lot, but I might sprinkle some money line.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that crazy. It's not that crazy.
Plus 25.
We've seen shakeups like that in college football before, just like we did last year. Like every game that you think is so easy is really just not so easy.
Right. And is Lane Kiffin have one foot in the door of MetLife Stadium? It's possible. It's possible.
Or he might have one foot in the door in Florida. He might be. He might be ready to go. He might be ready to leave Lane Kiffin. He might be halfway out.
Would you? Would you, if you were him, go? Not anywhere specific, but would you leave?
I don't know. I mean, I think that's tough. Like, it depends on for what job. Because my thing is, I don't think Florida is that great of a job because it's just a revolving door of head coaches, and I don't know if Florida's that good of a job.
But I'm saying, would you leave Mississippi? Not just to go to Florida.
If I were him, probably not, because Ole Miss, because he seems to be building something pretty good at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So I would say no, but look, I don't know what he's thinking or how much money he'll be getting paid somewhere else.
The irony is that, like, the if he were to go to the Giants, which I don't think he actually will, but it would be the one team in the NFL. Well, I guess maybe the Jets are up there too, but where you have unrealistic SEC type expectations, just like you do. Like he would be under just as much scrutiny, which it wouldn't be at every job in the NFL.
And he's also like, I don't really think, I'm not saying he can't coach in the NFL, but I don't know if he'd be a good NFL coach.
He hasn't done well. People forget, by the way, I listened to an interview with Matt Leinart. People forget that the offensive staff at USC when they won the national championship was Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin. What a fucking duo. What a fucking duo. All right, let's go to. By the way, for the record, I'm on the John Gruden train for the Giants. Let's go to NFL.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
Agreed. Let's go to NFL lock of the week to close the show out. Nick just talked about it. I agree with what he said, but I'm not going to take the spread. Bears Vikings over 48.5. Bears offense is good. We saw it at the end of the half or the end of the second half yesterday. I throw out yesterday's game when it comes to how these teams look because there was awful weather in Chicago yesterday. This game's indoors, right? It's at the Vikings, right?
The Bears Vikings, yes, indoors.
Yes, so it's indoors. JJ McCarthy, I still think is a capable quarterback. Not even saying they're going to win, but he can sling it. The Bears defense is really bad. The Vikings defense is actually low key really bad recently. Not a good look the last couple of few games for the Vikings defense for Brian Flores. But I like the over here, 48.5. I took it Bears Giants, but the weather played a part in that. But the Bears are in that. Bears, Bengals, and Cowboys are three teams that I'm just always going to take the over for every week.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good idea. All right, so my lock of the week. I'm surprised you didn't pick this game at all. I am going, unless I'm misremembering, I am going with the Chiefs minus 3.5 against Denver. I love the Chiefs here. Like you said, I think there's a very good chance the Chiefs end up winning another Super Bowl. But a big part of how I feel about this game, first of all, the Chiefs coming off a week of rest, that helps them a lot. Also, even though the Broncos won, 7 games in a row, they haven't looked great in most of the games that they've won recently. I mean, some of them were impressive wins. Don't get me wrong. Eagles, beating the Eagles, that's a good win. Blowing out the Cowboys is also a pretty good win. But in a lot of the games that they've won, they were lucky to beat the Jets in London. They needed an amazing fourth quarter comeback and terrible head coach and terrible coaching to beat the Giants, to come back and beat the Giants. Maybe if Brian Daboll had half a brain, the Broncos lose that game. They beat the Texans, but barely. They didn't look very good against the Texans. They won that game. And they beat the Raiders 10-7. So in many of these games, even though Denver's winning them, they haven't looked great.
Yeah.
They haven't really looked great. And if I'm evaluating a team, I care about how they look in their wins. And eventually that catches up to you, just like last year with the Chiefs. Winning games ugly is not a bad thing in and of itself, but if it consistently happens, it catches up to you. And I think it's going to be a similar thing with the Broncos this year.
Yeah, I agree. That I did consider it. I just really don't know what way to go because I could also list off a bunch of games where the Chiefs didn't look good too. I just didn't know where to go. I will say the one other reason I like the Chiefs is this is the last chance the Chiefs have to make any sort of play for the AFC West.
Yeah, but here's the thing though: the Chiefs in the games, the Chiefs didn't look good. Most of it was much earlier in the season. I mean, they lost to the Bills.
The Bills game, they didn't look great, but yeah,
that's true.
Which I was surprised by. I've been saying the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl, so I was surprised how they played in that game. They were my lock that week. They didn't look great, so that's why I haven't touched it that week. But I would lean the Chiefs. I'll probably bet them on Sunday. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's Weekend Winners. Enjoy the game tonight.
You mean unnecessary wagers?
Unnecessary wagers.
Wrong show.
Going on. Unnecessary wagers. Enjoy the games this weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. We will see you next Monday.